There was a time when a 5 year strategic plan felt exactly like that. It was a forecast of the future. Now, not a perfect one, of course. There will always be the occasional surprise. If we've learned anything from the last 5 years, it's that. It's a new competitor, possibly, a market turn down, a regulation no one saw coming. But by and large, the direction held. And if you pulled that document out 5 or 6 years later, it probably bore a reasonable resemblance to where the organization has ended up. But I don't think that's the world we live in anymore. Think back over the last 5 or 6 years. How much of today's world would the organization have confidently predicted? And I'll bet not much. Aside altogether from COVID and lockdowns and all of that, there's the pace and reach of artificial intelligence. Hybrid work has now become the norm. Psychosocial hazards became or are becoming a board level responsibility. The instability that we're looking at around the world is reshaping supply chains. The rapid changes in customer expectations today, or the sheer speed at which markets now move. I can't really say that they were impossible to imagine, but I don't think anybody imagined them all arriving all together at once. So we haven't just become more uncertain, we've become more unpredictable, and that's the difference today, because they're not the same thing. Uncertainty is something that we can usually reduce. We can overcome uncertainty with more information, better analysis, more scenarios, and eventually the picture kind of becomes clearer. But unpredictability is different. The conditions themselves keep changing faster than our forecasts can keep up. And then those conditions interact and amplify each other, so the sum becomes greater than the parts. I've talked about the perfect storm before. When two or more storm fronts arrive at the same time, the outcome is unpredictable. And as I've said before, planning for unpredictability is more like chasing a rugby ball across the wet grass. The moment it hits the ground, it can take off in any direction. It's just simply unknowable. So where does that leave strategic planning then? I don't think we abandon it. I don't think we can. In fact, I think good planning is probably becoming more important than ever. But perhaps we've been asking the wrong thing of it, or we're planning the wrong thing maybe. Maybe the purpose of a 5 year plan is no longer to try and predict the future. Maybe its purpose is to give us, as an organization, enough clarity to move forward in a direction, while building the capability to adapt, so when reality hits in whatever way it's going to. Maybe that's its purpose now. So in other words, the plan will provide the direction, but it's the people provide the adaptability. And that feels a little bit like a subtle shift. But I suspect it's one of the defining leadership challenges for the next decade. Because if every organization has access to similar technology, similar data, similar consultants, similar forecasting tools, AI, then what becomes the competitive advantage? Because I don't think it'll be the people who wrote the smartest strategy. I think it'll be who built the people most capable of responding and pivoting quickly when the strategy needs rewriting. So the organizations that will thrive won't necessarily be the ones that guess the future more accurately. They'll be the ones whose leaders remain calm when the future ignores the plan we had. So the next decade may belong to organizations that invest in better prepared people. And that's the thinking behind my program, Level Up. It's designed to prepare the people your organization will depend on when tomorrow looks nothing like today's strategy. Yes, it's capability, but it's also conditioning. Because while none of us can predict the next 5 years with any confidence, we can absolutely prepare leaders who are ready to meet what we cannot see coming. So has the role of the 5 year plan changed then? Or are we simply expecting it to do something it really wasn't designed to do? I'd love to know what you think. Let's have a conversation. Thanks.